Hello, I'm Owen Ryan. I'm here today with Anna, and we're going to be talking about living with ADHD and hopefully some methods of living with it well.
I put a post out on LinkedIn basically saying, well, because everyone thinks they're a coach at the minute as well. You know, so everybody's a coach.
Yeah.
And I'd been recommended a few times to, maybe you should have some coaching for your ADHD. And I was, I don't need coaching for my ADHD. That's ridiculous.
No.
And I've always just, I've had a barrier where that's concerned.
Yeah.
And then the more I sort of learn little bits, and when I do learn something, I realise that knowledge actually helps.
Yeah.
That understanding actually does help, and I thought, okay, maybe I need to look into this a little bit further. And can somebody please, who out there is a coach who can then challenge me? Then you were recommended.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not going to come on here and challenge you. The point is I do understand the value.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of want to understand it more and look into it, and for you to challenge, I'm going to be really, really open and honest.
Yeah. Like
brutally open and honest about my experience, and then I would just love to know how you feel somebody in my position would benefit.
Of course, yeah.
But first of all, clearly I want to know how you've gone from media entertainment into neurodiversity coaching.
I'll try and make it short because it is quite a long story, but essentially by accident, I left the media industry in 2018. My idea was to set up a coaching and consultancy business, which I did. Also then to do my writing, to write books, which I did and do. And my cousin was ex-military, and he'd been to Bosnia and Northern Ireland, and he'd really struggled coming out of the military. Sadly, he's not around anymore, and I spoke to his widow at his funeral and asked if he'd, could I have helped, in my coaching capacity. My thing is, I need to fix it, can I help? And his wife said no. The problem was he needed coaching. He got all the support he needed at the end, but the damage was done. He needed it at the beginning. Yeah. So he gave me an idea, and I set up a program I set out to try and help veterans who had gone through Tom's situation.
So what coaching had you previously done then?
I was a qualified coach within the organisation that I worked for. So I worked for a large company called Bauer Media, which is one of the world's biggest sort of media brands, Europe in particular. So I trained as a coach within the organisation to coach people within the business, because it's in their interest. Basically we've got people in the business who can coach rather than paying for coaches externally. So I got my qualifications in there, and did a few qualifications since. So I set up. It took me a long time. It took me about 2 years to infiltrate that world and try and get some funding to help veterans, because there is funding available, but there's lots of hoops you have to jump through to get. You have to be a kick, but to be a kick to then get money out of that world, you've got to be training for 12 months. It's a really there's lots of loops, and it just wasn't working. So I eventually got some funding from the European Social Fund, set up a program, supported veterans who had come out of the military, not had a good time, over a period of about 2 years. It was 2020 to 2023, and through that became quite familiar with people suffering with PTSD and those sort of challenges. I then bumped into somebody who I'd known for a few years who runs an agency supporting people with neurodiversity, and we were chatting. He says, "What do you do now?" And I said, "I'm coaching. I've been doing this military stuff," and mentioned the PTSD, and she was like, "Oh my God, we've got some clients who would really benefit from someone with your experience. Would you come and do some work with us?" So I did some work with one particular client, and it sort of then snowballed into clients with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and I've just kind of over time the more clients have come through, I've just really learnt from the clients as much as they've learnt from me. So I don't class myself as an ADHD coach. I'm a coach who can and does support people with neurodiversity.
Yeah.
And it's really just, I look at the person, not the barrier first, and then we work out how the barriers are stopping the person.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. And do you have ADHD yourself? Or?
No, I have it in my family, but I believe now, with my experience I've got, I suspect there's autism in my lineage. You know, there's not ADHD, but maybe ADHD, but you know, they would never admit it. But there is ADHD in my family, and in terms of, you know, nephews and nieces, etc. But I don't have, I've not been diagnosed, I don't think I have. I think I'm relatively neurotypical, although I now recognise there are probably traits from my lineage of, you know, kind of like, I don't know if it's autism, but there's certain, or maybe it's my upbringing, because there's conditioning versus, you know, life can create, you know, barriers in yourself rather than just be a neurotypical or neurodivergent. But there's definitely traits there sometimes where I don't like certain things, and I can be quite fixed on something. So I think we've all got something in us. And
we don't, like, there's no set sort of cause for ADHD yet, is there? Like, we don't still know. It's still up for discussion, isn't it? Whether it's born through your up.
I think there's. I mean, I think the understanding now is that it is it's hereditary. Now, whether it passes directly through or whether it can skip generations, I don't know. I don't know enough about that side of things as to whether that is, you know, is true. But there's definitely, you know, with a lot of my clients that I've worked with over the years, you know, they describe the traits of their parents and their grandparents, etc. And it's like, well, clearly your dad or your grandparent had ADHD, and they're like, oh yeah, God, you can see it now. Yeah. But it's I think it runs through the families for sure. Because
I hadn't realised it was only when I had my chats with the psychologist, and I read, it was just only because he didn't tell me during the conversation, but it was only when I read the report after, and it said within there both parents show are showing clear signs of ADHD, and I was like, what? And I hadn't even considered that before, and now I look at them and I think, God, of course they do. Yeah. Like, they so obviously do, but pretty different to me. My thing as a child was I had like really severe anger. Like I couldn't control my anger. Okay. Like horrendously badly, and apparently going through this process, apparently that is due to my ADHD. Oh right, okay. Just the controlling of your emotional dysregulation, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I certainly have clients who've talked about being frustrated and angry as kids, and more about, when we looked into it, more about being misunderstood or not being able to communicate how they were feeling, or why, or even to explain to themselves why they did things a certain way. You know, like one client in particular was always having to wear the spare kit at PE because she'd forget her PE stuff, and she was really angry at herself because she was put in this position where she was almost laughed at every other week, but she couldn't remember to take it. And so there was a lot of anger came through that. But I don't know whether it was necessarily the condition itself or the environment it put her in.
Yeah. Oh, it's so interesting, isn't it? What does neurodiversity mean in the context of what you do? As in coaching wise, or as in coaching business owners, entrepreneurs?
A lot of my clients who come to me have they're challenged with maybe organisation, or the timing. They might have issues with timing, confidence. A lot of it is the limiting beliefs that they've picked up over the years because they've been told, whilst now it's really open and people talk about it, and sometimes everyone's self-diagnosed as ADHD rather than being fully diagnosed. But a lot of the time that comes out as, I've got ADHD because I'm a bit late every now and again. Exactly. And that's a frustration because people who genuinely have it, I see it all the time. It's a real challenge to live with it. So they'll come to me and they'll explain the kind of frustration, the overwhelm, disorganization, the fact that they procrastinate, they might put tasks off, they'll find other things to do, they lack confidence. And you know, what we do is to say, I don't look at the barrier, I look at the person, and then figure out how we can potentially come up with, you know, a set of a set of tools to help them navigate them.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've learned through I've been doing the neurodiversity coaching probably now for about 3 years, is that whilst a lot of the traits of the different conditions are the same, every single client I've got is different. I don't have people say, oh, what can you do? What can you do for me? It's like, well, first off, I'll listen to you, figure out where the challenges are, and then we'll put a plan together that might help you. But I can't suddenly say, oh, well, you've got ADHD, therefore all these things apply to you, because everybody's different and they all manifest themselves in different ways. So it's a very bespoke type of coaching, really.
As well, though, you know, this, because the symptoms that you were talking about there, or the traits, I feel like they can show up in people who have depression, for example, as well, who aren't necessarily ADHD. So how?
There is a lot of confusion, or oftentimes people can be misdiagnosed as bipolar when they have ADHD. And I had a client specifically who was talking to me about that. I've not come across it myself a lot, but this particular client was essentially, the doctors were saying, you're bipolar. And she was like, I'm not bipolar, I'm sure I'm not bipolar. And yes, I have ups and downs, but I don't sort of crash to that sort of level. Although you can obviously have an ADHD crash as well, which comes in after maybe doing too many things at once. It gets confused, and sometimes as well, symptoms of the menopause can be confused, or perimenopause can be confused with ADHD.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, you know, now it's becoming more prevalent. They're going, "Oh, I've got ADHD," when actually they might be perimenopausal. I mean, I'm not qualified to sort of diagnose or talk about that in any great length.
I mean, would you develop ADHD at the point when you were menopausal anyway? Would you not have had it all your life? Can you develop it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's there your whole life. I think there's always these challenges of, you know, it's like, oh God, she was always late as a kid. No, she was the last one out of school, etc. These kind of things kind of come through, and then it's only later in life that actually the barriers start to become more significant. So I don't think necessarily develop ADHD, but it can get more pronounced, I think, as you get older. And I think sometimes the symptoms of the menopause can bring on ADHD, you know, or make it certainly harder to live. And also trauma. People who've been through trauma, there is some research that suggests that trauma can significantly increase or heighten the symptoms or the challenges of ADHD. But again, it's not something I'm an expert in. It's just I take an interest in it. I never claim to be a psychologist or a doctor of any kind, but it's trying to understand it. And it's really, as I say, it's about the individual and what they need, really.
Yeah. When you're talking about being late all the time, we had to keep a diary and it was in middle school, and I've still got my middle school books, so I was reading through these diaries, and every single morning is the same scenario. So do this, and then I'm late again for school. So my friend is my same friend who we're still best mates now. My friend would arrive to walk to school and I'd be late, or I would get halfway down the street, had to run back for my bag, was late again. Every single morning it's the same thing, was late again. And I didn't think anything of that either. I just thought, oh, well, you're just a kid, aren't you? That's just what it's like. And then but you can see the pattern with me. So just in first school, for example, just being really quiet and disassociated, not really, just never ever listening. Distracted all the time. So every single thing that you ever read of me in school is like distracted. And then again, the same sort of thing in middle school. Just I never did well in any subject. I never could take in what the teacher was saying.
Not even creative subjects.
That was the only one that I did. Yeah, that was the only one. That's the only thing I ever enjoyed.
Because you're stimulated, you know, and that's the thing is now that I think as in 10 years' time, when my kids are kind of at school, going through GCSEs, etc., I'm sure that there'll be, there'll be more specific teaching related to neurodiversity based on, okay, well, you need to be stimulated.
Yeah.
And But when we were at school, you know, it was everyone got taught exactly the same. You know, that's it. That's your lot.
Yeah.
You know, whether you get it or not, tough. And I think that's the problem. If I look back now, because it's interesting now with the experience I've got to look back at school and go, ADHD, autistic, you know, and you think there's no wonder they were playing up, because it was hard enough as a neurotypical person to take in this monotonous drone that was coming at you, because you were, again, it was transmit, it wasn't receive. It's like, there's the information, take it in, do your exams, bugger off.
Exactly.
Whereas, you know, if you've got ADHD and your brain is like, I need to be stimulated, how on earth are they expecting you to thrive in that space? So
it's madness.
Every client, pretty much to a man, will turn around to me and go, at school I was told I was easily distracted, you know, stared out the window all the time, you know, wasn't interested, but found the creative side of things really stimulating. Yeah. But there was no interest in it. It was like, oh, you're good at art, good for you.
Oh, it was. It was a bit of a laugh, wasn't it? If you can't do any other subject, do art.
Yeah, just draw.
Yeah. My son, and this is actually hilarious, so he's only 11, we were driving along in the car the other day and I was speaking to one of his friends, and I said, oh, what's your favourite subject at school? And he said, oh, I like art. And I said, oh, I used to really like art. That was my favourite subject at school. And Ollie pipes up and goes, that's because you couldn't do anything else.
Sounds like my son. That's the sort of thing Vaughan would say.
Oh, brilliant. We always take the make out of each other in our house, but I just thought that was hilarious. But it's true though, it was genuinely the only subject I could do in school, because I couldn't listen and absorb information just coming out from just somebody standing and saying something to me will never ever sink in.
No, not at all.
So even though I love to read, but I get into a full-on zone, and it's probably the one time where nothing else exists in the planet, where your brain can switch off. But I can't tell you anything out of that book. I can't tell you the name of characters. I can't tell you, you know, where it was. It's quite bad, actually.
Yeah. It's I mean, I don't know enough about the physiology, but I think it's just, you know, your brain is just enjoying itself. It's kind of in that space. It's like, I'm loving this. This is great. It's relaxing. It's regulating. And then when it's finished, it's like, I don't need that information. I've got way too many other things to think about. Yeah. So, you know, I can just let that one go. Yeah. I think your brain's helping you out. You Possibly. Know, I would hope. But, you know.
It's like I'm obsessed with Downton Abbey at the minute.
Oh, really? The new one, or they go back to the old ones?
I've gone back because I only watched the last part of it. But now, because it's such a long series, and I won't watch a series for the very reason that I can't just relax until I get to the next episode. I can't not think about it. So now I'm only on series 3, and my brain's completely consumed every second of every day now, because I need to get to the next episode.
When that tune starts, that music,
it's driving me mad. Yeah. So literally, I had my son. I took my son to his football training yesterday, and in the car, whilst I'm waiting for him, I've got Netflix on my phone, so I can just catch a little bit more. When I'm getting ready, quickly getting changed in the room, quickly 10 minutes more.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
But
as a writer, that's music to, you know, Julian Fellowes' ears, is that you cannot switch that off. It's like brilliant. I remember that when that started. That was 2011, because I was in Melbourne at the time. We were working over there, me and my wife, and I remembered it starting. I was like, what's all this? And the breakfast show I was working with, they were like, and they get the DVDs to watch, you know, so they can then talk about it. And Bridget, who was on the breakfast show, was completely taken with it, and I was like, ugh. And then my wife and I watched it when it came on. I think it was Channel 7 at the time in Australia, and it was like, oh, this is good, isn't it? And that was the same thing every week, just stuck on it.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Fab. Yeah.
It's post-war then.
Yeah, it goes through, doesn't it? It's like post First World War, then into the Second World War. Or is it?
It's real. It's really good. But but because that's how my brain works, now I just fixate on that. Now I'm trying to work, I need to get this done, and all I can think about is that. And it's so distracting for me. So I have other things in my life other than the series that I happen to be watching. But I can't think about anything else. I can't switch off from it until I get to the end of it. And because it's so long, now that's going to take me forever. So now when somebody says, have you seen this new Netflix series? I have to say to them, I can't watch a series unless if it's sort of
3 or 4,
I'll watch that. But that's it, because I won't go to sleep that night, because I'll have to continue watching those 4 episodes, and then I'll be even more exhausted in the morning.
That's fascinating. That, you know, I've not come across that yet, but that's really interesting.
It's horrible though, but it's really awful thing. So my husband will say, "What? what's a new obsession, and it will be an obsession.
Yeah.
Fully obsessed, but he says, why can't you get that obsessed with really important things, and you would literally achieve so much.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work like that.
No.
Right, yeah. So because I don't really know what ADHD coaching is.
Yeah.
So kind of explain to me what actually is it?
Well, as I say, I don't class myself as an ADHD coach. So
yes, I know. Yes.
So I'm not going to sit and, there'll be other people. There are specialists out there who that's all they do is ADHD coaching, and they'll give you a different version to what I do. But the coaching, say you were my client, we would sit down and I'd be like, right, okay, tell me all about you. What matters to you? What's interesting? What's annoying? What pisses you off? What causes problems? Where are your challenges? What would you like not to be? So this Downton Abbey obsession, for example, might be something that you could work on. It's like, okay, well, it's not Downton Abbey that's the issue. It's what it does for you, or it's how your brain is connecting into that. And we would potentially sort of work our way through. Maybe there's previous examples where you've had an obsession about something and it's become overbearing or overwhelming, and you could start to look at patterns. So really what we're trying to do is figure out behavioural patterns beyond the condition that are, what is it that is actually at the heart of it? What is the root of it? What is there could be about your own beliefs in yourself? Have you got limiting beliefs? Do you think, have you carried around a little narrative in your head for X amount of years or all your life that has come from people around you, people you've worked with, teachers, parents, friends, Anna's always this. And is there something at play there which is actually manifesting itself in this fixation on any particular thing that comes up at any particular time? And so that's really the way I work with it. So as I say, I can't say as an ADHD coach you will get this, but coaching in itself and mentoring, so it's like, there's coaching, there's mentoring as well, dependent on the level of neurodiversity, I guess. Some people with autism, for example, if you go down the traditional route of coaching, which is ask a question and allow them to find the answer, the thought of trying to find the answer is so overwhelming they just completely close off. So what you have to do sometimes is make suggestions. Would that work? Would that help? And that's more mentoring. And that's why when people say I'm a coach, the difference between a coach and a mentor is the coach knows what a mentor is. It's kind of like, whereas
so the word coach is just so overused now.
It's thrown out there.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I did my coaching qualifications, we sat in the room, and it's and it applied to me as well at the time. And we in radio programming, we were coaches. We were coaching our on-air talent. And what I realised was we weren't doing a lot of coaching, we were doing a lot of mentoring. So we're basically telling them how to do it better.
Right, okay.
Coaching is, so I said, I did about 6 hours coaching a week. And then when we got around actually what coaching is, I was doing no coaching, I was doing all mentoring. And coaching is supporting people to come up with the decisions or choices or, plans themselves.
Okay, right.
I use both coaching, mentoring, and I don't sit there and go, I'm going to coach you, I'm going to mentor you. We just flow between the two, because that's kind of the natural thing. It's a bit like this, a coaching session or a support session with me doesn't feel formal. It's just how are you feeling, what's going on. Sometimes it feels a bit like therapy, because I've had people in tears talk to me about stuff.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, that's okay. That's great.
Because just being able to just talk about it full stop.
Well, also having acknowledged for the first time, a lot of people, they get the diagnosis and the doctor's acknowledged it and they're like, I don't know what that means. And then they start talking to me about it and I'm like, okay, well, I've got clients who do exactly the same, have the same situations. This client came up with that. I mean, one of the things that, I've got a very, very smart client who's got a doctorate, PhD. And one of the things that they cannot cope with routine. Hate routine, but know that they need it.
Same, yeah.
So she came up with the phrase, I don't really want to do a routine, but I'd really like to find a rhythm. And I said, okay, let's explore that.
I find this really interesting, because that so resonates with me. Yeah. I know that I need it, but I hate it so much.
It literally made her feel sick.
Yes.
Having to think of a week where this day is that, this time is that. She was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, well, let's work it through. And it was her, again, it was coaching. She's incredible, as I say, with this particular client. I'm trying not to say a name just because I'm so used to talking with her about this stuff. Was, I kind of feel like a rhythm would work, and I'm like, okay, well, let's go a bit further with that. Let's, and you just sort of prod and poke, and what does that mean? What could that look like? And she's like, well, actually, if I did this, and and it's hard to describe it because it's hers, but it had this flow through the week, and she's like, and it's okay if I don't do that day because I know that I can pick it up there, but as long as I've got some kind of flow, then everything else will fall in around it. And I was like, yeah, okay, we'll try that. It worked. And then another client comes in and says, I hate routine. I was like, okay, my other clients come up with this. How do you think this would work? So they tried it and it worked for them. So, you're a bit of a magpie in these things because it's not like I've got a box that's full of the answers. It's like, well, actually, every time you talk to somebody new, a new client, they will come up with something different that works for them. And I've done presentations on this where I've said, look, I've got a load of ideas that might work for you. And if none of these work, then there'll be something for you, but this is just something you might want to take and try. But it's, as I say, it's very individual.
Yeah, and even just being able to sit down actually with somebody like you and talking it through, you being able to talk about what's worked for people in the past, what hasn't worked, and just sort of winging it, but the idea of just bouncing those ideas with each other and figuring out a path that would. So I kind of like that. I feel did this person almost think I work better, I know I'm going to feel like this at this time of the day, for example, and
each day of the week had a certain feel and vibe to it, and each time of the day as well. She knew she was good on a Monday morning for this, and she knew she was good on a Monday afternoon for that, but a Tuesday she needed this, and a Wednesday she needed that, and that was kind of the rhythm. And Friday needed to be no work, and it was just process, regulate, get everything in order, and then go again the following week. And we used to meet on a Friday because it allowed her to decompress, download everything, and say, okay, what worked, what didn't. And it's also giving the person permission to say, well, you can have a bad week. It doesn't mean that it's not working. It's just you've had a busy week. Something's come out of the blue and you weren't expecting it. It's knocked you off kilter. But you've got the tools, and over time you just, your memory kicks in and goes, well, I've been here before. I know it's not going to be all week. I'm just having a bad day today, and tomorrow will be different.
That's really interesting, that, because I remember when I was, because I struggle with that and with organisation, and I remember somebody saying, right, let's get, and I ended up with a big, wall calendar, and each day was marked, but then I was quite specific, so I was like, I'm going to take a 20-minute break, then I'm going to have a lunch break, then, and then because that was there, and because it was in my visual, I obsessed over it. So I was thinking, I need to take my lunch now. So whatever I was doing, I couldn't stop thinking about the fact it's now 12:30, for example. I've literally got to have my break now. And it got to the point where instead of being the person who hates organisation, which I do, I obsessed over it to the point where I wasn't getting enough. It was having the reverse.
It becomes the focus rather than actually things you needed to do within the structure.
Exactly. Focusing on this instead of just getting on with my work, obsessively thinking, I've got 10 more minutes of this task before I'm supposed to move on to the next one, and then because I'm thinking about that, now can't finish this task. I mean, constant.
I think one of the things that a lot of clients get benefit from is having someone to sit down with on a regular basis, whether it's, I generally meet clients every 2 weeks or 4 weeks, not necessarily every week, unless it's in the early stages and someone is really struggling, then we'll do like some concentrated stuff. But you kind of want to give them time to just grow a little bit into and suss things out and feel how they're going. But a lot of times they benefit from just sitting down and talking about how it's gone, and what they can't see a lot of the times is actually what they've achieved. And then I'll reflect it back to them and say, well, okay, well, last time we talked, you had this, and this going on. So has any of that come off? It's like, well, yeah, all of it. And I'm like, okay, so why is today so tough for you? Why are you giving yourself a hard time? And it starts to sort of sink in over time that actually, they're doing really well. Everyone wants a pat on the back sometimes, you know, and it is, ADHD, is really hard to live with. I know that from, personal experience, as I say, within my family, it is incredibly debilitating at times. It can be almost like, crippling on certain days and certain times. And just having someone there to go, it's all right. It's all right. This is fine. This is okay. This is normal. And tomorrow will be different,
Debilitating is the exact word that I use. Because I remember saying when the GP had said, look, I think that you might be, can I refer you, because you're showing signs of this, this and this. And he said, but even all through your childhood. And I said, yeah, but everybody's like that, and everybody gets disorganised. Everyone's, loads of people have a rubbish memory, loads of people have this. And he said, no, that the difference is, though, that everybody will have traits of, but the difference is having traits, or whether it is debilitating, or whether it is badly affecting your day-to-day life, which it is.
That's a good GP.
Yeah,
that's a really good GP, because a lot of times now it's it's such a oversubscribed thing.
Yeah.
People go, oh, ADHD, whatever. For yours to stand there and actually be the one, it's normally the way around where you're going, I think I've got it, can you help me?
Exactly.
Whereas he's going, actually, I think you've got it, you need some help.
And I was fighting against it, because I was just thinking, I just don't want to have that label, because everyone's going to go, oh, for fuck's sake, there's another one.
Yeah. I totally get that, yeah. And people do, they get the diagnosis and they feel embarrassed. It's like, well, everyone's going to think I'm one of them.
Exactly.
Snowflake, I can't cope, I'm busy. It's like, but if you've got genuine ADHD, it is like it's a medical condition that is really hard to live with.
Yeah.
It really is.
Oh man, it's quite interesting. I know this is probably going to sound awful, but you know how there's a lot of ADHD coaches who are ADHD.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, how are you going to help me if you're ADHD as well? We're just going to have a complete whirlwind. It's going to be a nightmare every day, isn't it?
I've often wondered the same myself, but sometimes it's kind of like, as I say, because I never came at it from a point of I'm now an ADHD coach or an autism coach, whatever. No. It's just I'm a coach, and I've started working with people who have this particular challenges.
Yeah.
So I just applied the original, coaching training that I've had, and then over time, knowing the condition and understanding it better, you start to apply different things to it and use different traits. But I've often wondered that, how can someone with ADHD coach someone with ADHD? It's kind of like,
oh man. So I jumping on the bandwagon I used to think that was the whole thing. I don't want to be classed as someone who's jumping on the bandwagon.
No, I mean I understand that, but I also think it's, if you have it and you struggle with it, then getting help can make a massive difference, because some people choose to medicate, some people choose not to. Yeah. I've got clients who do both sides of that. Some find the medication fabulous, others find it horrific. Depends on you as a person, and there are different variations of the medication you can try, and all sorts of stuff. But it can be, I think, getting support can make all the difference, because it just allows you a safe space to regulate, because you can't always regulate yourself, and you can't always expect your family to help you regulate either, because living with people with ADHD, I talk to the clients, their partners struggle, because they're like, their partner's going, why aren't you taking your medication? I left you a glass, I left the pills, they're next to your bed. And what they don't understand, and over time, and as a neurotypical person, if their partner is neurotypical, I can give them the other version. I can give them the side of it where I go, look, your partner brain works like this: problem, solution, away we go. But a lot of the clients will say, I'll see the glass, I'll see the medication, and this little ADHD voice goes, you're not taking that. You're not taking that.
It's bizarre.
And I'm sitting there as a typical person, when I start just going, what, it stops you from doing it. It's like, I just cannot do it. The last thing I need to do right now, or the last thing I'm going to do, is take that tablet. And we've tried all kinds of tricks and techniques to try and almost trick the voice into taking it, and using the partner, the neurotypical partner, to help. But I think once you start, talking to the neurodivergent person, the ADHD person, about how their partner is stressed because they're trying to help, they're trying to fix it, a lot of the time. Some just don't know and don't care, and that's obviously not necessarily a good thing, and those relationships don't always work out. I had one client actually who got divorced. The husband was like, I'm so sick of your mess, I'm so sick of your lateness, I'm so sick of everything, I'm divorcing you. And she was just like, bloody hell. And it was like all over. And then 2 years later, she's like, I'm glad I got rid of him, and now I know I've got ADHD, and it got off basically. He said, it's the best thing ever happened to me. She says, but I thought it was a bit extreme, wasn't it? Every cloud. But it was like every trait that she had through her ADHD wound him up to the point where he couldn't live with her. And I was like, well, it's probably better that you don't live with that person in your life. Oh man,
I have to say, there's been a few times Jason's been like, right, I can't, because he'll put notes on my computer screen and I'll just look through them all day. I just don't even notice that it's there. Right, even covering something, it'll be covering up something that I'm trying to see.
It's
how do I not?
It's like, again, I don't know the science, I just know the practicalities of, sometimes you will look at things and it's like, I don't know, it's like, how did you not see that? It was right there. And it's just like, didn't see it at all. Didn't see it at all, And another one, a great one, is if someone with ADHD is like looking at their phone or typing a message in. Now, normally, someone who's neurotypical, you could walk in and say, oh, by the way, tonight, don't forget, you need to pick up the kids because I'm doing that. See ya, out the door. That message is being typed, and it was like, I don't know, something happened. Because they literally cannot separate the two.
Yes.
That's something a lot of clients will talk about, is their neurotypical partner having to learn to go, if you're on the phone, I need to wait till you're finished and then ask the question or make the comment.
Yeah.
And actually say, did you get that? Not in a, did you understand me? It's like, did that go in? Or sometimes, the clients will say the partner will say, if I talk to you now, can you hear me or should I wait? And it'll be like, no, I've got you. It's just that little question, and it's not an arseholy thing. It's just like, I know you're busy. So if I ask, can I ask if can you hear me? Can I talk to you now, or can I come back later, or should I come back later? Because otherwise, you just did the conversation twice, or something gets missed, and then a fight breaks out later.
I remember saying that I thought that I had, I don't know what I was diagnosed myself with something. God knows what it was. Because I remember thinking, I feel as if as soon as I turn my head from whatever I'm doing, that thing just disappears from my life altogether. So if I turn my head, if I'm in the middle of doing something even very important work-wise, if I turn my head because the phone rings or someone calls my name and I just then stand up and do something, I'll never go back to that. Like, I might remember like hours later. And now my son, my 11-year-old son, well, he's just gone to uni now, my 18-year-old, but they'd help me manage it. They take the piss out of me as well, which is hilarious. But so my 11-year-old Ollie, he'll literally come and follow me into my bedroom and go, you realise you were just doing that, and what you doing now? And I was like, well, I've just come in to do. He says, you've just left. You were in the middle of doing that, and I knew you were going to come in and do that because something's distracted you. And I was like, oh my God, yes. And he'll just laugh at me, but he keeps me right.
Yeah. Well, you need that, and it keeps it light as well, doesn't it? It stops it from becoming a pain.
Oh, because I'm not one of those people that's going to just like really take it seriously, because it is, and although it is serious, if I don't, like, laughing's really important in my world, and if I don't find humour in things, it would be a very bleak place for me. Yeah,
well, laughter's very important to people with ADHD as well, because it obviously produces dopamine.
Yeah.
It's, and it was a client who said this, my very first ADHD client actually said to me, when I was talking about someone in the family having ADHD, and I said, did they laugh a lot? And I went, they do actually. And he was like, yeah. She does, and her son had ADHD. We laugh all the time, and we're both ADHD, and we love laughing because it just gives us such a buzz. And it still stuck with me that I didn't know that, and I was just like, oh yeah. So actually, most of my clients, I would say, love laughing their backs off, the ADHD ones.
Yes,
absolutely love it, because it makes you feel good.
Definitely,
it makes you feel good anyway. But someone with ADHD, it's like, woof.
It absolutely is as well. That and music. So first thing in the morning, I'll quite often put something like something really fun. It'll just be, if I just flick through my Facebook or whatever, Instagram, doesn't matter what it is, it's all full of humorous things. Really funny things. And I just need that little bit of hit of laughter, like uncontrollable, like eye water and laughing. And then that's me just set for a few hours. It definitely does. It sets you off. So if you were to give me, I'm trying to think what my worst thing is. Time blindness, I've written down what I think, but I feel like these are just the most obvious things that everybody would probably say. These are my worst traits, which is time blindness and always thinking that I'm on time, but I'm always rushing. Always rushing out the door. Concentration, which I've had all my life, all the way through school, even through, and this was in high school, which I found quite sad. I've got reports from high school, and two of the teachers saying it's like she wants to disassociate herself from lessons.
Because it's boring.
Yeah.
Why would you want to be in that space? The thing about ADHD, one of the wonderful things about ADHD is creativity. You know, if you look at some of the most successful creative people on the planet, they've got ADHD. You know, there's a whole list of them, and you know, your brain is craving excitement, new things. And a lot of ADHD people, super creative, aren't really good at finishing.
Yeah.
But they can be fantastic sort of creative leaders. They come up with an idea, let's brainstorm, let's go for it. How can we make this work? Brilliant, someone else do it. Don't expect me to finish it.
That's my ideal job title. That's what I need to, that's what I aspire to.
Creative genius, creative thought starter. Let's go for it. Yeah. Let's build it. I'll create it, think it up, you lot make it happen.
You go do it. Right, let's start the next thing.
Well, you should tap into that, because and if you're at school and your brain is in that space, but actually school, you know, certainly I went to school in the 80s and through into the, you know, just tipped into the 90s. I'm 50 now, and it was, God, even the thought of it, just the shiny walls, and you know, just the smell of it, everything. Blackboard. Just the blackboard, you know, chalk. It's like chucking bloody the rubbers at you and stuff like that, you know. And they were still dishing out corporal punishment, capital punishment. I'm not that bloody old. I'm 75.
Hangings in the school.
They were still hanging people. Might as well have done at my school, but. You know, it was awful, and to be in that space with that creativity must have been absolutely awful.
Yeah.
So no wonder you disassociated. You went to a better place.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think I even had any creativity in school.
No.
I genuinely just thought I was completely useless and thick when I was in school.
Which is
and my older brother, he's 2 years older than me, and he's just one of those academically, we've talked about this loads, he's one of those academically clever people, you know, he's like insanely good at maths, and because he was always 2 years above me, I would then come into school and then teachers would compare me to him. And they'd be like, oh, David's sister, and then I would be straight away just shrink into this. I was like, nope, now you've compared me to him, that's it, I'm not even going to bother trying.
Yeah, done.
I can't do just that. Me and him are just chalk and cheese where that's concerned.
Yeah, totally. And it's a failing on their part on you. Yeah. You know, because you weren't stimulated. There was nothing there to excite you. And
I remember going into ones. It was when you had to choose your GCSEs, and I went into design and technology, and I spent one day. And on the first day in design and technology, and I really wanted to do it actually. I was quite, and the guy said, David Glass's sister, and I was like, yes. And he went, oh, I'm expecting good things from you. And I left that class and went and did design and realisation instead.
Oh, did you?
Because it didn't take any brain power.
Yeah. Well, design and realisation was much better.
It was much more fun. Yeah. But me and Sarah, we were the only two girls in the class. It was all lads. We were just smoking out the back of the woodwork room, not getting any work done. It was a complete. It was just a whole year of just doing pretty much nothing.
Just enjoy yourself. You know, why not?
I probably enjoyed that lesson most of all, actually.
Yeah. Well, why not? Smoking, having a laugh, hanging out with all the lads. Yes. What's not to like?
But I could have potentially done better, or I could have potentially achieved more had I not been compared to, and you know, I was supposed to be a certain way and supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, I don't know the science on it, but I would certainly say I've seen that before with clients where it's almost like once there's an expectation on you to be a certain way, it's like that's almost like putting you into a routine. Yeah, it's like you're supposed to behave like this because that's the expectation. It's like no, that's not me. Don't put labels on me. Don't put blocks on me. Just let me be free. Because as soon as you start restricting, which it is, that's what you have to be.
Exactly.
Your brain goes, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm out, you know, I'm disassociating, I'm not interested in that whatsoever. So it's a challenge, but it's certainly not your fault.
There's this quote that I read a couple of years ago and it made me actually properly cry. And it was, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life thinking it's stupid. That was me. So I've got a fish now on my wall.
I love that.
And it makes me think of that. And I properly cried.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get over it. I just thought, oh my God, wow. How amazing is that? That's me. I am that fish.
But it's so true, isn't it? You know, it compares all to a fish. But I love that. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that. I love that.
Do it. I'm going to get a little fish tattooed somewhere. I just haven't decided where yet. Yeah. Turn to somewhere where I can see it, just to remind me. It's just such a brilliant quote. Oh, that was when I loved when I read when you said that you help people to turn down the noise.
Yeah.
And that it's constant. There's a gazillion things going round, to the point where if something really stupid, like I have to put the washing in, I would then think, but actually, if I want to do that, I'm possibly going to have to do that first, or maybe I should do that, and then maybe that and that. And then just a task that's as simple as that's now just become completely overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel quite pathetic.
It is, and it's one of the challenges is helping people to understand that they don't have to do everything at once. They don't have to do everything full stop.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes with clients, it's like, okay, well, can you concentrate on the things that you're really good at? Things that you love to do. For example, that I love creating ideas, but I don't want to finish them off. Okay, well, is there someone you can bring in, or someone in your life who could support you to do all the stuff that you're not good at? Because someone who's amazing at admin and loves all that numbers and Excel sheets and all that sort of diary management, they're not necessarily going to be creative. So you can't then, it's madness to think, well, I'm super creative and I should also be really good at this.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, you are set up and designed, you're on this planet to do something, and you are your optimum version of that. And it's just about, if you can, focusing in on the thing you're really, really good at, and allowing someone else or other ways, you know, getting support into your life. Sometimes it's even saying, well, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do my accounts. I'm going to get an accountant or a bookmaker, because I just cannot. You know, I'm trying to keep track of everything. I can't do it. Bookkeeper, and bookmaker. Yeah, get yourself a bookie. yeah. Get yourself a bookmaker. Chance your odds. You know, chances are you might be quite good at numbers. You know. So
I
get yourself a bookkeeper.
did that. Was one of the first things I did. Got an accountant.
Yeah.
I would never even attempt to.
But so many do, and they give themselves a hard time. It's like I had one client the other week, and she was really, really worked up because she was going digital. You know?
Yeah.
And she'd always done it, you know, just collect all the receipts and stick them in the box, and, you know, and then at the end of the year sit down and do it yourself. And she was absolutely terrified. And I was like, no, honestly, it's so easy. You know, there's these apps, you just download it, take a picture on your phone, it does it, it processes it, it sends it all out, you know. And she was so worked up about it. And it's like, no, don't worry about it, you know. And it's just that's when the mentoring comes in, because you sit there and go, well, actually, you know, it might be I can put you in touch with someone who can help with that stuff. You know?
I think people don't take their own time into account as well. You know, the amount of your time has a value. What's your hourly rate? And if you are spending 2, 4, 6, 12 hours, how much time you've actually, what would it cost to pay somebody to do that who would do it in a fraction of the time? There's
a brilliant story in Gay Hendricks's book called The Big Leap. I don't know if you've ever come across it. It's a really, really good book, fabulous, and it's about how we sort of up a limit. I won't go into it because it's too big a thing, but the book is brilliant. The audio book's really good as well. He's talking about a guy who is next door neighbour. Now this guy he's in corporate land, and he got paid $1,000 an hour in his work, and he bought a new printer, and he was faffing about with his printer. And Gay was sort of laughing with him. Over the week, he faffed on. He couldn't get his printer to work. And he eventually gave up and paid the kid next door $50 to set it up for him. He worked out it cost him $13,000 of his time to then give $50 to the kid next door. And when you look at it like that, you think, that is ridiculous, you know, because he wasn't doing it. He's like, I can't work, I can't see, I've got to get this done. $13,000.
Oh my God.
Well, $13,050, and the 50 got it fixed, you know. And it's such a great example of why waste your time on things that you're not good at, or things that you're not supposed to be doing.
I did that I got a sit-stand desk, the electric one.
I've got 2 of them.
Have you? And it would have cost.
One's not enough.
There was a choice to pay £50 for somebody to come and set it up for you, and I was thinking, I'm not paying someone £50, I'll just do it myself. And it probably took me 2 days to do it.
Having done both of them, I ripped a muscle in the arm which took 6 months to heal because it was so wide as I was pulling it across. And the other one took a long time as well, so I would definitely didn't learn from the first one, and I should have.
I can't believe you did it twice.
Yeah, it was in my wife's office, and I thought, do you know what, I'll do it, it'll be easier.
Because you've done it now, you know.
I've done it, I'll figure this one out, and I still got the wires the wrong way around.
Mine sort of went up like that, and I had bits left over. They're still left over, I don't know where they go.
I think they leave spares, because I had bits left over for mine as well, that's what I'm hoping.
No, but these weren't duplicates of anything though. They were
really?
They were, yeah, because I put my little piles out. I'm pretty sure they weren't.
Unless they could just be little bits to like aesthetically.
Maybe.
Those bits that you stick in where the screws go in. I had some of them and I was like, I'm not putting them in, I can't be bothered. It's underneath.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless there's someone going to be like that under my desk, why do I need those bits putting in? You know, it's built, it's going up and down, that'll do me, you know.
It's cool, but it did work in the end. So
they both work.
Actually, the only reason mine did is because Jason had to come in and fix it in the end.
My 9-month-old's in a little walker and she comes in the office in the house and she's just figured out if she pushes the button it moves. But the worrying thing is it comes down and she bangs her head on it sometimes. So keep her out of my office.
Oh man. Okay. What? Oh, by the way, can I just say that I hate people calling it a superpower? I've had this chat a couple of times. That really pisses me off. Sorry, they don't piss me off as people because
that phrase does.
Phenomenal that they feel like that. But for me, it's shit. It's always been shit. I can't imagine it ever not being shit.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine me ever not wishing that I didn't have it. I just don't understand how it's classed as a superpower.
Yeah. I think some people who, they are super creative off the back of it and end up in that space where they can be as creative as they want to be, but there are other people to do the bits behind it. I can see why for them they would probably feel it's a superpower. Like Simon Sinek, who's the kind of public speaker, he's ADHD. And interestingly, I was listening to a podcast he did with Stephen Bartlett, and I was listening to it for about an hour and a half, and as he was chatting, I was like, he's ADHD. Now, he never said anything, but the way he was talking, I was like, I wonder if he's ADHD.
What was he doing that made you?
It was just little things. He described some of his behaviours, and it's hard to remember exactly what they were, but there was little bits where I was just like, that sounds like ADHD trait, like his focus or something, and I don't like finishing this off, and I've got big ideas, and I was just like going, no. And at the end he went, and of course I'm ADHD, and it was almost like, hey, I can even hear it when people, I can hear it, I don't have to see it. And he's incredibly creative and has built a business based on his ability to think beyond the scope of most people. Yeah. But he has then also built a business that allows him to do that and other people pick up the pieces. So for him, it's a superpower. But for a lot of people,
because actually I did his Find Your Why thing, and he obviously wasn't part of his other people that were doing that, but they were picking up his idea, and it was his course. Yeah. That was really cool, actually. Have you done that before?
I haven't. No. I've heard.
You get put with just because there's people from all over the world, and you just get put in a room in a separate, obviously in a Zoom room with somebody from it was someone in America somewhere. This guy, it was really, really interesting because you're getting asked, you're asking questions and answering questions to a complete stranger, and then they basically tell you what they've pulled out of the answers that you've given them.
Oh wow.
And then they give that information back to you.
That sounds fabulous.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, I'll have to look at that.
It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely do it.
Well, the superpower thing's interesting because when I first started out, obviously I'm not ADHD trained. Again, it's just something that's kind of grown into. And you pick things up, and there's a lot of people, talk about superpowers and this. So you do sort of get into that terminology and or phraseology. And I remember I was watching one of my clients actually who was autistic, and he was presenting on being autistic and how he'd been diagnosed and how to support people in the workplace. And we've been working together for ages, and we've never used that terminology. But he stood up and went, "Be mindful not to talk about it being a superpower." He said, because some people who are autistic find the term superpower and the fact they don't know what theirs is, they feel like they're a failure. So they're not only autistic, but they're a failing autistic because they don't have a superpower. And I started that, I went, Jesus God, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I've never used it since. Because the way I like to look at it is, it's not necessarily a superpower, it's the seesaw, essentially. So if you think someone who's typical, and relatively typical, that's who they are, their brain, how they work. So they're good at most things, but they're not necessarily brilliant at everything. There's not one thing they're really good at. But someone who's, ADHD in particular, what I found with a lot of clients is they're kind of the tilts that way. So time management and admin, they're not brilliant at, but creativity is much higher than a lot of typical people. And once you recognise, actually, you don't want to be flat, because where's the fun in being flat? actually up here is where you excel. This is the shit that you shouldn't be messing about with. Lots of admin, lots of time stuff, you know, accounts, all the stuff that just hurts your head. That is not going to serve you. Keep yourself up here where you really, really grow and feel energized and vibrant. And, you know, that's, I mean, it's a very simplistic way of looking at it.
No, but I really like that. I love that analogy.
You know,
I feel like I'm like that in that sense, but also in the sense that I'm all or nothing for everything.
Yeah.
So, well, it wasn't, I mean, in a bad sense, when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, all or nothing meant in every sense going out and doing all the stupid things.
Yeah.
But then also now, I'm either all in or not at all.
Yeah.
There's just no in between.
Downton Abbey.
Yeah, exactly. There's no in between.
Yeah.
And I've always wished that I could be that in betweeny bit, but now that you've put it like that, I'm like, no, actually,
No, you've got a peak, you know. And what's interesting as well, the seesaw analogy works as well, because sometimes if you spend too much time at your peak, you will automatically, someone gets off the other end, and you'll crash, and you will have a day where you actually feel like you've got flu, or you've been hit by a truck. You're like, what's going on with me? And you can't, you're tired, or you're down, or whatever. And I see this a lot with clients, is this crash that comes. But once you recognise it, it's just the crash. It's not who you are. It's not a long-term thing. It's probably only 24 hours. And just on that day, when you have those days, if you can, switch everything else off. Like, so I can't do appointments. I can't come in today. You know, I'm just going to sit and do whatever I need to do to just get the rest, because it's just, you know, when you're flying and you're in this hyperfocus and it's like, everything's coming together. It's about the Matrix or Limitless. Everything's brilliant. You cannot keep that going forever, and you will crash. And that's just accepting that crash is just a physical symptom of just loads of energy expended.
Well, that's really quite nice as well, because I actually had that not so long ago, and whenever I have that, I always think, why do I feel depressed? And there's nothing. I'm literally so happy. I've everything. Just genuinely, this is going to sound a bit cheesy, but like my kids could not be any more perfect. We just have the best. I love them so much. We laugh so much. They're amazing. I've got my husband, the home where we are. Everything. Yeah. Everything's cool, and yet, why am I having this day where I feel like everything's horrendous and bad? And then, like, you're right, because you try and achieve things that you would normally achieve. Try and have that enthusiasm, and I've got no enthusiasm for anything. All the stuff that I get so excited about, and it's just gone. Some
of those days, it's just an acceptance. This is just how it is, and doesn't matter what I do, I can't stop that. And almost you can kind of prepare for it. You can go like, I'm busy. It might come. It's not bring it on, and it's not so you think, oh God, I need to crash. It's just when it crashes, it'll come, and just being like, I'm just gonna have a day where I just sit and watch telly. Yeah. That's why I want to sit and watch Downton Abbey, if that's what I need to do, or not. Because if that's going to get you more hyped, just sit and listen to music. Well, no, because I could get to the
end of it finally.
Just claim you've had a crash. Tell Jason you've had a crash. I've had a crash for 2 days. Well, it'll be finished in 2 days. This crash is over.
The other day, when I had another time, because I take Ollie to his football practice obviously every week, and Jason had said, oh, so what are you going to do? I said, well, I was going to just pop and get a coffee from, because it was in a different place. I was going to just pop and get a coffee from such and such, but there's been a fire at Downton, so literally you're going to have to watch that.
I can't. Now. They need me.
Oh, Owen, thank you. Well, actually, what I wanted to ask you was, if there was just a tiny little experiment that I could do over the next, whether it's a week or month or whatever, that I could test out. But is there something that you could say, right, you could just try this little experiment, try this little this hack or tool, for example, and if I do it consistently, that I could then talk about in a week's or 2 weeks' time,
to see if it's made a difference. Yeah. The honest answer is I don't know, because everybody's so different. It's almost like saying I'd need to sit down and know I could give you something, like say we sat down for an hour and went, right, okay, tell me what's the problem. I say, right, try this for the next couple of weeks. Based on your own experiences, I would probably have something or some trick that you could try that would have a benefit. The only one I would probably throw your way now, without knowing much about you other than what we've discussed today, is probably the rhythm versus the routine.
Yes.
Is just to say, okay, I'm going to look at my week and see, rather than the routine, what is the rhythm? Where do I naturally flow day by day? And see if there are days where you think, well, do you know what, on a Monday I generally feel good about that. Why don't, instead of doing that on a Wednesday, I do it on a Monday, because that might have a better impact for me or a better output. That would be the one I would say as a kind of try that and see if that makes any difference. But certainly with, when people are working with me, there's usually lots and lots of tools I can give you that will hopefully help you feel better pretty quickly.
I am going to do that. I'm going to, and I'll have to really take note every day of how the day's going and how I'm feeling as well. I think I've got to really actually think about it in order to.
Yeah.
But I am gonna look at that, because I think that is something that could potentially really help me.
Yeah.
Rather than if I put too much structure in and then I obsess over it.
Yeah.
But I definitely will have that. Yeah. Those ebbs and.
It might even be for the first, maybe for 2 weeks, you just make a note of how you feel each day. Just not a lot, because what you don't want to do is it become an obsession of, I'm writing detailed notes of this is at this time of day I felt like this, and at 9 o'clock and at 9:15 I felt like that. It's like, just even at the end of the day, just write down, this is what I did today. These are things, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all the way through, and then do the next week. And then at the end of those 2 weeks go, it looks like on a Monday I do this well, or, I've had success. You'll have a vibe on it yourself anyway. You'll understand just from your own experiences of it. And then sort of put it into practice in the third week of, now I've had 2 weeks of figuring it out. Now let's see now I know I'm conscious of it. What can I do to maximize that rhythm, to help me? And also, allow yourself, again, the main thing is don't put any pressure on yourself. Don't make it something that has to be done. It's just something that, is going to benefit you, and ultimately, might help you just get a bit more understanding of it.
Yeah. No, I am going to do that, definitely. It's made me think, the diary I was telling you about that I wrote in middle school, and I might post about it because it is quite funny. The teacher had written, because every single day I've put, got up, brushed my teeth, had breakfast, and she's actually put at the end, I didn't really mean you to be that literal. Like, you don't have to tell me every day that you got out of bed. Well, you asked for the details, that's what you got. Exactly.
You gave me a task, I've delivered on it. 10 out of 10. Give me a big star, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That's been really, really interesting. And honestly, I've actually found that really valuable.
Brilliant. I'm pleased.
Where can people find you?
You go to my website, owenryan.org. Go through there, you can connect with me anywhere that way. I'm on LinkedIn, people can find me there as well. There's all the information there about what I do. My website is more corporate, it kind of really deals with the corporate side of the business. I haven't put a huge amount of neurodiversity stuff on there. I do need to update it because it's becoming something that I'm doing a lot of now. But you'll see the veterans work on there, but you'll get a lot of spiel about me in my corporate world. Don't let that frighten you if anyone wants to come and talk to me. Hopefully from listening to this they'll understand that there's nothing to worry about, and that is something that has just developed, but I do need to put more of I need to go and shout about it a bit more than I do, I think.
You absolutely do.
Thank you.
What about your books?
If you want my books, you can get them on Amazon. It's OMJ Ryan is my pen name. Or you can go to my website, omjryan.com. Crime fiction thrillers, and my new psych thriller is out now. But if you go on my website, you can just click on the book, read a bit about it, and then click through to Amazon and get it there. And they're all in order as well, because there's 12 in the series, there's a standalone, and then there's a psych thriller, so there's 14 in total.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it.